All right, everybody, we got a jam-packed episode here. It is the last Green with Envy episode before the regular season tips off Wednesday night. Celtics, Sixers going down. We'll be live with a post-game podcast after that. On today's episode, we are going to preview everything about the Celtics' upcoming season here, as well as an inside look at that Celtics media versus coaches. We've got our guy from Boston.com, Khari Thompson's here with us, so you guys know the deal. This is Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up, what up, what up? Welcome into another edition of Green with Envy. As always, this is what Will We're checking in. How you doing? How you living? Joining me as he does each and every time, my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Benakis. How you doing, my guy?
Woo, baby. You're bringing the energy right now, my guy, with the second cup of coffee. Let's go. We all just, full disclosure, everybody, we're all pretty tired. Khari and I both just woke up from naps, but we got it. We're good.
Hey, you got to bring the juice. The season's here, so we got to give the people what they want. And of course, as I mentioned at the top, joining us today to preview this Celtics season and give us the inside scoop to the Celtics media versus coaches showdown. People are calling him the chief of the Celtics media basketball team. It's the one and only Khari Thompson of Boston.com. Khari, appreciate you joining us on this one, man.
Oh, no problem. Shout out to you guys. You have an inside source on this one. This is a story you guys can break news on.
I know. I like it, man. I'm very excited. Greg and I have for, now years on the podcast. We've pitched a bunch of times. Like we want to do like a podcast media 3-on-3 tournament. Not going to lie, Khari, we're recruiting you. This is the official recruiting pitch for you to be the third member of that 3-on-3 team. So,
okay.
Exactly. So we've got some questions about the media game I want to get to, but there's one thing here I want to start us out with here because I just think this needs to be a bigger deal. Greg and I were talking about it last night, and we were talking about it before you came on here, Khari. I want to talk about Shohei Ohtani for like 5 minutes because it should be the biggest freaking story in sports, and I'm not getting enough texts about it from people in my life. I'm not seeing enough information about it on Twitter. There's not enough people that are just losing their mind over a guy going 3 for 3 with 3 home runs, 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 10 Ks, throwing over 100 miles an hour to send his team to the World Series. There's just simply not enough coverage. So we need to at least mention this here on our show. And I want to connect it to basketball as well. So I have a question that I want to pose to you guys here. What, if anything, in a similar scenario, conference finals, closeout game, big time playoff spot, could be a basketball equivalent, like a single game stat line to what Shohei Ohtani did last night? Does it even exist? I'm not sure it does, but Khari, I'll start with you. 1, any thoughts on Shohei Ohtani? And then 2, is there any basketball equivalent to this?
I mean, we're watching the modern day Babe Ruth, baby. Like, it's just this historical stuff. But as a basketball equivalent, I really don't know. Like the craziest thing I could it would be like Kobe dropping 81, but like there has to be some kind of defense. Like he has to get like 25 rebounds or something crazy. Like, that's what I would say. Kobe 81 with 30 rebounds.
Right. And like you kind of got to go back to like the Bill Russell era where he's got like 40 rebounds in a game or something. But if we're talking modern day, I was looking back at Giannis's Game 6 box score against the Suns back in 2020 or 2021, whenever that was. Giannis Antetokounmpo went 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. That's pretty close. I feel like that's pretty close. And that itself probably didn't get enough love because it was Bucks Suns.
That's fair. I think that is probably I literally tweeted this out without even thinking about this, that it would be like a 50-point, 20 rebound, 10 block game. And that's actually really freaking close to what Giannis did in that game. But like and I think, obviously we'll see what the season's very exciting to see what comes with Victor Wembanyama going forward. Like it feels like if anyone's going to do it, he's the guy that might be able to do something like that. But Greg, you kind of blow my mind right now that Giannis was that close. Like That's insane that Giannis had that stat line, and that was to win the championship, Game 6, NBA Finals. So I think you're right. That's probably the closest thing that exists to it. But yeah, anyone else just want to give any Shohei thoughts? I just feel like this needs more attention than it's getting. I know we're a basketball podcast, but he just needs more love.
Khari?
You guys are gonna hate my take on this because so I cover the Celtics and Pats. I have no room in my sports life to watch anything other than Celtics or Pats. Like,
no, I don't think that's bad at all. Greg and I admitted we've become so you know how it is growing up in Boston, right? Like diehard Red Sox fans. We all knew it, like growing up as kids, like what that atmosphere was like, and the Pink Hats, right? Like the bandwagon fans. Greg and I talked about it going into the Red Sox postseason. We covered the Red Sox for about a week and a half before they were eliminated. And we were like, listen, we full hands up. We are part of the Pink Hat squad now. Like there's not enough time in the day when you get older. You got to pick and choose. And I can box score watch, but it's tough to keep up. So we totally understand where you're coming from.
Well, the cool part about my job is I literally, when I lay out my week, I'm picking and choosing which days am I at Gillette, which days am I at the Auerbach Center. And so like, yeah, that's literally all my time watching Celtics and Patriots stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's a pretty good job, man. Yeah, I think with Shohei, for me, like I always gauge with Danielle, my fiance, who I just need to make my wife already, guys. You know what I mean? Like it's time. I just gotta
started calling her your wife to other people, and like literally, my cousin asked me that. She goes, "When did they get married?" I was like, "Well, they're still engaged, but it's been like 4 years." So
it hasn't been 4 years. It's been 2. Okay. Yeah. But it's time. We just gotta elope and not tell anybody because it's gonna be a whole to do. But she doesn't know anything about sports. So as we were watching the game last night, just a brief couple moments of it, more like the end of the game, where I'm like, this was the greatest single like baseball performance of my lifetime right here. I was like, you should know this person. I was telling her, I was like, you should know Shohei Ohtani. And she was like, that name means nothing to me. I was like, what baseball players do you know? She's like, Barry Bonds, Aaron Judge, and Derek Jeter. Those are the only 3 names that she knows. And she said,
baseball's fallen off, man.
Baseball has fallen off, dude. It has fallen off.
God.
But Khari, what are your thoughts on this? Because for me, I was talking to Will before you got on here. I was like, it's also like baseball's fallen off, but we have become so desensitized to like amazing shit happening in the world that when Ohtani does something like this, when Victor Wembanyama does something crazy, it just gets, barely a day of coverage, if that.
Nah, I think baseball has a serious marketing problem. Like the storylines and all this stuff. Like I'm not familiar with any of it. If Mike Trout walked into a bar, I would not know who he is. Period. Like that's just what it is. That's the state of baseball and stardom. Everybody knows Tatum. Everybody knows Drake May. Like if Roman Anthony walked down my street, I would not know who Roman Anthony is. Like I just wouldn't. Like would you ever pick him out of a lineup? Like
probably not.
You saw Roman Anthony walking around in Dorchester? Like, come on now.
No, especially not in our part of Dorchester. It just blends. Right. No, definitely ain't gonna pick him out down at one of the I'm trying to think of the name of the bar down there, Lucy's or whatever. Wouldn't notice him at all. Just blend right in. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. I'm again shocked that Danielle knew who Aaron Judge was. So maybe that's
she's from New York.
Judge coming with okay, so that does help a little bit, but. Yeah, man, had to give a little love to Shohei Ohtani in baseball. My first love. I had to give a little shout out to at the beginning. But, Khari, we got you here. We need to, before we get into a Celtics season preview here, we got to get in to the coaches and media game. And we need the inside scoop. So I want you to just give us, the inside view of, how you felt about the night. Because Joe Mazzulla, if I'm correct here, you guys didn't know until moments before the game that you were going to actually play the coaches. Like this was a surprise that Mazzulla busted out when you guys thought it was just going to be the media breaking up into 2 teams and playing. Is that correct?
So they were smart about it, right? So the way they build it is they're like, all right, you guys are going to play your media game and some of the coaches are going to hang around to coach you and give you some pointers. So that's how it sounded on the email. But we show up there and it's a regular day of practice. Joe wasn't even going to tell us. It's the last question. Someone asks him about it, and Joe thinks about it. He takes a beat, and he's like, actually, You guys are playing the coaches. You're not playing against yourselves. And just walks away, straight face, not even a hint of a smirk, just complete Missoula game face, like game on. And that was awesome. That was how it unfolded.
That's so cool. And you wrote an article it's on boston.com right now. An opinion, the coaches versus media game was Joe Mazzulla's way of showing love. I know some people out there had kind of suggested it was bullying, and your articles, the thesis is that it's bonding. But one one piece here, I just want to read this quick excerpt because I thought this literally made me laugh out loud. It said, "Let me attempt to address a few of these concerns. This was no attempt at bullying. Bullying is forcing someone with less power than you to do things they don't want to do. I'm a grown man. I'm 6'6", 260 pounds. Joe Mazzulla did not force me to do anything." Unbelievable.
I feel like there's a little you guys remember that Oklahoma State coach? Like I think his name's Mike Gundy.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I'm a man. Yeah. I'm 6'6". I'm 260. You can't tell me what to do. That's the energy in that quote.
I got a little pissed off because you got people that weren't even there trying to say it was bullying. And first of all, Joe was actually doing something really cool for us. And we got people from the outside commenting who weren't there who might even ruin it. Like, because Joe didn't have to do it, but he did it for us. And so, like, that pissed me off. And then it's like, oh, they're bullying. Like, Joe Mazzulla did not bully me. He asked me and my friends if we wanted to play basketball, and his friends are better at my friends than it. You know what I mean? And he's obviously a lot better than me. That's the reality of the situation. So, like, let's not make this bullying. Come on now. Like, I'm sure Joe heard some of that because by the time he did his Sports Hub interview, he was like, I hate that it even got out. That wasn't the point of it. He was like, next time we'll make sure it don't get out. And it's because of people like that who weren't even there that are going to have their takes that don't know what they're talking about.
Well, here's the thing, man, about it getting out. Like I was actually like, obviously we're locked into Celtics Twitter. So when it was making the rounds, like it's all over our feed, but it made its way through NBA Twitter, right? Like I was seeing people that I follow that cover the Nuggets, the Lakers, like all these other teams that, that I follow. And they're like, yo, we want to do this. Like, it was really cool seeing the NBA reaction to it. And I saw actually, maybe it was yesterday, that the Nuggets are literally doing this. Like their media team is going to play the Denver coaching staff. I think it's maybe Tuesday night or Monday night. And so I was thinking about it this morning, man. There's a chance that you might be a part of history in some small way here, where if this does take off, this becomes the origin story of what maybe 10 years from now is the annual media coaches game that every team in the NBA is doing. So I think that's like unbelievably cool that there's a chance that this becomes not just a moment, but almost a legacy.
And it's great marketing for Joe. Like, I think if you got 10 PR people in a room and like crafted a way for Joe Mazzulla to get good PR heading into what's actually a really good, a really important year for him. Like they couldn't come up with.
We'll talk more about that in a minute. We'll talk more about that. But yeah,
they could not come up with a better PR stunt than that. And like, because it's completely on brand. It's completely authentically Joe. I mean, what other NBA coach do you know that's like, all right, we're playing the media. We're going to crush them, guys. We are full court pressing from the tip. We are spreading out. We're playing Mazzulla ball, 5 out, make them guard us, right? None of this post-up stuff. 5 out, whip the ball around. They can't guard us from 3. Like, just domination.
What was your starting lineup?
So, Corrales started. We didn't pick starting lineups. It was just like whoever first 5 wants to go out there, and we did wave substitutions, which I'm not saying that would have made a difference, but like
maybe balance it out a little bit.
Your best 5 was never on the court at the same time.
I mean, I don't know if we have a best 5, but I forget who even started. All I know is I didn't start. I was on the bench starting, and so I knew Corrales was out there instead of me. I think Caleb Burton started. I think Bobby Manning started, but I can't even remember because by the time you looked up, it was like 22-0.
Yeah.
And that's like
Yeah.
when I went in.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
watch
We were
the
playing
clip.
we were playing a men's league game the other night, Khari, and we're basically the equivalent of what you guys went through. Like we were playing the team that was the media and we were the coaches, and we
Yeah.
were up 31-2, where like they literally did not score a basket until like 2 minutes left in the first half. And I was like, this is exactly what
Yeah.
the coaches just felt. And it was just like,
Exactly.
it was so funny just to like make that. I was like, this doesn't happen. Like coaches in media don't play. You don't full court press with like all former professional athletes and Division I athletes. Like Phil
Yeah.
Pressey was one of the best point guards in Massachusetts. Like he was so goddamn good. He's
He
like
played for
4
the
years
Celtics.
younger than me. Yeah, he
Yeah.
played for the Celtics. Yeah, but he was, BABC and all that
Yeah.
stuff, just like an absolute legend in Massachusetts. So
Well, just having Emile Jefferson on the floor alone is unfair because he's 6'9", early 30s, still with bounce, and a former McDonald's All-American who played with Tatum at Duke. Him on the floor alone is unfair. And it's like Joe didn't even have to score like that because he had dudes like that he could just dish
This
it
is
to.
the thing. The Celtics coaching staff is, especially compared to other coaching staffs, insanely young. Right, like
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla, I think is 37. I think he's the same age
Yeah.
as Greg and I. I looked it up right before. Phil Pressey's 34. Emile Jefferson's 32. God Jr. I couldn't find his age, but I know he's like late 20s or somewhere around there. Like this is like this is the same as going to a, Greg and I were talking about this. Like we played the worst team in our league, and that's what happened. Is what he talked about the rec game. But like the best team in our league that we struggle to beat is like insanely athletic, but they're like, men's rec league level athletic. This could theoretically still be in the NBA level athletes that are, that were, All-Americans in high school, college, and they're still relatively young compared to, Corrales is the oldest guy on the court.
Yeah, and well, actually, no, he wasn't because Bob Schron played in the game for us.
Okay.
I saw that.
Bob Schron is like 80. But and to add to your point, well, these are guys whose job it is to like literally work out and play basketball. Like,
they're the scout
this
team
is what
versus
they
the
do.
actual team. Like
This
that's
is what
part
they-
of what they do.
This is what they do. Like Joe was jumping in there in the scrimmages with Tatum and them. Like, it was
yeah,
hilarious.
Bobby tweeted something out that made it sound like he wasn't expecting them to be as good as they were, where he was like, man, I've never seen ball pressure like that. I was like, Bobby, no shit. No shit.
Yeah.
You haven't seen ball pressure like
Do
that.
you not know who Joe Mazzulla is?
Yeah.
Come on, Bobby. That's what Joe
That's all he
Mazzulla does.
did. He went to the Final Four
That's
doing
Joe's entire game.
Yeah. That was too funny, man. Car, but I mean, for real, holla at your boy. Next time, I will at least be able to get the ball over half court a couple times. Times. Holla at your boy. I'm in there. Let's make it happen.
Man, we needed a point guard desperately, man. And we got to call out Scal Eddie House for abandoning us because like we could have had real NBA talent from NBC Sports Boston on our team. Homeboys,
and hey, listen, I don't know if Drew can play, but Drew's tall as shit.
Yeah.
Drew's a big boy. So you got so if you could add Scal, Drew, and Eddie in there, you're at least getting more size and obviously the NBA talent.
And then you get Corrales, who's like your size, right? Isn't Corrales around your size? Yeah. And he was like an unbelievable college athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're at least height wise, we're getting closer, right? We're at least evening some of the playing.
Height wise wasn't the issue. The issue was they were so much faster than us than we couldn't get the ball. We couldn't break their press. That's what it was.
Yeah,
so we needed a couple guards. We needed a couple guards.
This is your calling. You got to send in. The video that always pops up of Peyton Pritchard like dribbling in his garage when he's in like college or high school. I think you need to recreate that, Greg, and then send that out as your audition tape to the media.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna send it out, but I'm gonna play at 1.5 speed so they think I'm a lot faster than I actually am, because I'm not that fast, man. Like that's a thing. Like I've played against like really high level competition, and you go from being like the best guy on a court, like playing with your friends, to I literally can only stand in the corner and shoot threes, because if I try and dribble against these dudes, like at BC, like anytime I was at a practice, I was like, oh my God, like these dudes are so fast. I'm standing my ass in the corner. Like I ain't doing shit.
Hey, if you score on Joe, I'm buying you a beer afterwards, man.
Let's go.
If you score on Joe, we can make that bet.
I'm in.
All right, one last question here before we move on to the Celtics season preview, and this is gonna be for you, Khari. But let me play this first.
Damn, Khari.
What no do to you, dog? What she do, man? What happened?
First of all, Noah's the best. Noah's one of the best in the beats. Love her. She's a good friend. But nah, you take advantage of the opportunity. She pulled up for a 2-point jump shot, a long 2 at that. I'm supposed to just let it go? That would be disrespectful.
My man Khari out here teaching lessons. No long twos.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Decision making is part of being a guard. Noah, we know this. You know ball. Come on now.
Well, that basically got her on ESPN, though, no?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she would have been on ESPN anyway, but like, yeah, they played it on ESPN, so I was on ESPN too.
One more time.
Damn, Khari.
Yo, the dismissive ass way that you walk down the court. Don't even go after the ball for like, yo, let's get this fast break. Just like straight Mutombo stroll after that.
Will, you forgot Khari's 6'6", 260, bro.
Come on. I read the article. I know.
Well, when you go from trying to chase Emil Jefferson to guarding Noah, that's a pretty big swing within the span of like 10 minutes.
Oh man, well that's awesome. To appreciate the insights, giving us a look inside that game. It was awesome. I love seeing it blow up. I hope you guys do it again. Obviously, let the podcasters in. Greg and I will find a way to get down there. I don't know if we're gonna help much, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best if they allow us to get some run. But let's transition and let's talk about the upcoming season, because the Celtics tip off their season Wednesday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Looks like maybe Joel Embiid's going to played in the preseason last night. So could get Joel Embiid. Paul George looks like he's already ruled out for that game. Let's start here, Khari, just in case you have any insights, but obviously one of the biggest storylines at the end of the preseason, Jaylen Brown leaves the last game with a hamstring injury. I think at least the latest that I've seen is there's not really much of an update, but anything that you know or have heard leading up to Wednesday night, it's Saturday afternoon as we're recording this, just for those listening.
I don't have anything later than the updates. I've been hanging with the Pats. We're covering Drake May.
All right, we'll get to that because I do want to hear about what's going down in Gillette, because I don't know. I'm getting close to some hot takes that are coming for the Patriots. So we'll get to that here in a minute. So TBD if the Celtics will have Jaylen Brown for the season opener. But I want to take this time and just kind of look out at the season here. And Khari, we briefly grazed this. I said we'd come back to it. I want to talk about what are some of the most interesting storylines to you, because you're going to actually be covering this and writing these stories. So as a writer, when I'm sure in your mind in some capacity, you're kind of mapping out things that could potentially happen or things that could be interesting to keep an eye on. So lay out a couple of those storylines that you've already got an eye on as we head into the first game.
I mean, I think Joe's the figure we'll learn the most about this year, because this is the first time that he hasn't had an absolutely stacked team. So we're going to find out if Joe can actually coach this year. Like, that's the top storyline, in my opinion. I mean, like, you know, he inherited a team that made it to the finals, and granted, he took them over the top. But now it's like, all right, no Tatum, no Drew, no Porzingis, new roster. You don't have the stretch fives that you had before that can just rain threes down. So you're going to have to change your play style. We're going to see how Joe goes about it. I think, to me, that's the number one most interesting storyline, along with Jaylen's playmaking, because Jaylen is not going to be able to just make up all Tatum's buckets on his own. He's going to have to evolve as a playmaker and become way more consistent in that regard. So I think, to me, those are the top two storylines heading into Celtics regular season.
What have you, but besides the offensive philosophy seemingly changed to a bit more of an up-tempo style, seem like kind of stealing from the Indiana Pacers on offense and a little bit on defense? It looks like they're kind of extending that full court pressure. What insights have you gained just being around the team a little bit and, you know, hanging out with the other beat writers?
I mean, it's just how intense they're talking about the practices. You know, everyone's calling it a war, which I guess can be kind of a cliche, but given Joe's personality, and like, I don't think these guys are messing around saying that practice has been like a war. Like, it's something you typically do hear, you know, going into seasons or preseasons, but it's been intense, and they know it has to be intense because they don't have any bigs, man. Like, who's the starting center right now? Nimi? Is Nimi their starting center? Like,
so.
Complete
by default, I think.
complete change in personnel, and that's why it's going to be interesting because it's going to be granted the NBA is a guards game, it is guard focused, but the Celtics are going to really have to lean into that because all their best players and scorers are guards.
Yeah, it's the front court, and this is something Greg and I, especially as we've been watching the preseason, is the front court's going to be a roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
And it's the biggest wart on, trying to potentially think of any expectations that you may even want to get a little overzealous about. It's just immediately tempered when you really dig into that front court. So let me ask you this, Khari. Like, if we remove some of the mainstays from the rotation of teams over the last couple of years. So let's eliminate Hauser, Pritchard, White, and Jaylen Brown from this question. Who's the most intriguing player for you on this team?
I would say it's Anthony Simons because I like his fit within Missoula ball. I mean, he can spray it from three. The question is, can he play any defense? And defense also is a bit of an effort thing. Like, you don't need to be the most talented to be a good defender. You actually have to care enough to focus every single possession. And I haven't seen anything in Anthony's game that makes me go, he can't be a good defender. Like, I don't look at him and I go, oh, he's slow or, oh, he's weak. Like, I look at Anthony Simon, I'm like, actually, he's athletic enough to be a 20-point per game scorer in the NBA. He probably has more to offer on the defensive end than people think. So I think if he can give you anything on defense and help contribute some of those missing points that you're going to not have without Tatum and Porzingis out there, I think he'll be an intriguing piece for the Celtics.
As we've said, you're 6'6", 260. I have a theory that Anthony Simons is not 6'3" or 6'4", whatever he's listed as, and he's actually more like 6'2", like barely 6'2". He seems like Kyrie sized to me, who's listed at 6'3", but's really not 6'3". So you've probably stood around Anthony Simons. How tall is he? How much do you think he weighs?
I saw him at media day. I really don't think he's that much shorter than he's listed, right?
Okay.
But it's just funny. The way people play, it often changes your perception of them. Because I meet a lot of people that think Derek White is a lot taller than he is, right? I've met a lot of people that are like, is Derek White 6'6"? No, Derek White's 6'4". Like, I'm taller than Derek White. So it's like, it's just, I think that's the perception because he has those long arms and because he chases people down that Derek White is taller. He's not. And so you're not seeing those type of plays from Anthony and you're like, oh, this must be a smaller guy. But I didn't see anything that made him look out of place. Because if you're saying he's 6'2", you're saying he's around Pritchard height and he's taller than Pritchard. So it's like, I think 6'4" is legit for him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny what you mentioned about like the perceptions of how people play or like what makes them feel smaller or bigger. We mentioned this I think during our off-season podcast. Like Chris Boucher is kind of that guy for me where I'm like, Chris Boucher, when you just watch and you don't look at the actual depth chart, you're like, oh, that's probably like a 7-footer out there because he's so long. But I think he's like 6'9", right? 6'8", 6'9". Like he's actually smaller than you think. But like I think if you just didn't Google it, I'm like, oh, that guy's probably like 6'11", 7 feet. But you're right, like the length of his arms makes it seem so much different. So
who's that guy for me? You know who's that guy for me in the reverse? Al, right? Al is not as tall as I thought he would be, right? Because like Al plays huge and he's an older guy. So you got he must be 6'10", 6'11". No, Al's 6'9". Like Al, I'm in the wheelhouse of his height range. Like I'm not saying I'm his height, but I'm within like 2 or 3 inches of him. So like that was actually kind of shocking to me seeing Al. I was like, and it made me all the more impressed with him because I'm like, you're doing this at 40 and you're not that much taller than me and you're guarding the bigs of all bigs. Like that's insane.
I actually really, really like this conversation because I'm fascinated with like NBA listed height versus actual height. And you're like a legit 6'6". You don't need to like throw it on the media report, like in the media game presser beforehand listed at 6'8". Like, no, you're 6'6", right? So how tall is everybody on like the Jaylen Brown? I think he's 6'5".
Me and Jaylen are almost the exact same height.
Okay.
So Jaylen is legit. I'll give him 6'6".
Okay. Let's go. So you said Al was 6'9". There's everyone says Tatum 6'10". He's not 6'10". How tall is Jason Tatum?
Tatum is tall though. Tatum, I'll give Tatum like 6'9". Like Tatum
I was going to ask, is Tatum actually taller than Al? Like that was kind of when you were speaking, that was what was jumping through my head is like, so is Tatum just bigger than Al? Like at the whole time that he might be a 3 and we're like, Al's our 5. It's like, well, is he actually just even bigger?
They're close, but this is gonna sound weird. I spent a lot more time around Al than I did around Tatum. Like we never see Tatum outside of the press conferences. But Tatum to me just seems, maybe it's also just his presence, but Tatum just seems a lot taller in real life.
That's fair. And then you said Derek White 6'4". Pritchard's a legit 6'2".
Pritchard, I'll give him like 6 feet.
Yeah,
maybe?
I was gonna say he's like 6.5, maybe 6'1". Yeah.
Yeah. Peyton, I'm quite a bit taller than Peyton. I'm like 5 or 6 inches taller than Peyton.
Yeah,
which is impressive. Like that dude's in the NBA.
No,
he's 6th man of the year. That's crazy impressive.
And he's one of the guys that I'm most interested in, like going into the season. And I'll couple it with Derek White, because I was thinking about this after the last preseason game. And Greg and I have talked about this a little bit. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, Khari. But I feel like, leading up to the start of the preseason, it's been, okay, Peyton's going to take an even like a further leap than 6th man of the year, because he's going to get the start. He's going to get, more reps, more handles, more shots, so on and so forth. And I've been impressed in that last game, even though he wasn't making shots, his distributing, his playmaking, his passing, which we haven't had a chance to see quite as much of to this point. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But I think the biggest thing that I've not changed my mind on, but that I've altered my view on is a little bit of Derek White. Just kind of, I put him to the side all offseason. It's just like, I know who Derek White is. Derek's going to be awesome. Derek's doing Derek things. That last game against the Raptors, I saw a completely different mindset to Derek White that I wasn't really sure was there, where he was like, oh, Jalen's out, I'm the fucking guy. Like, I'm going to be the guy. Like, and he wasn't the most efficient, but he got to the line and, he had 30 plus points. And it was this different mentality that he certainly has not had to take on during his time in Boston. I'm sure at some point in his college career, high school career, he's taken this on. And so he's really kind of reaching back to this mentality that I hadn't really given much consideration to. But now that he's the, Robin to Jalen's Batman, if you will, like you kind of have to have that mentality on certain nights when either JB's not there or there's a night JB doesn't have it, you're next up. And so I think this is kind of changing my expectation for Derek White for this season. And like I was doing an exercise in my head this morning of like, maybe this really is the Derek White All-Star year. Like I'm becoming more and more convinced that this is actually going to be the Derek White All-Star year. What are your thoughts on Derek White and him stepping into a new role for the season?
I like it. I think it's going to be good for him because I think at times he was underutilized last year. And I'll use the Knicks series as an example. Like throughout a lot of that series, he actually had the hot hand, but they kept going to Tatum and Brown. And like Tatum was awesome towards the end of his time in that series, but like Derek White had a couple of those games where he was opening the game like 5 or 6 from 3 and they would go away from him. And then the Knicks would get back in the game. And it's like, no, like keep riding Derek. Like Derek has shown consistently over his time as a Celtic that he's good for at least one game for playoffs where he's getting 40. Like, so the consistency, we'll see if he can do that over the course of the season because he hasn't really shown that. But he's shown that he's a superstar in his role. But I think I like what I've seen out of Derek's game. I think it's going to be a big year for him.
You know what I think we should do when Tatum comes back? Because I'm thinking about that Knicks series now. When we're up 20, it should be Derek White is in charge of the offense and only Derek White. Because like he's not going to do any bullshit.
Derek.
He's going to still make the right play. Whereas everybody else like starts doing the heat check shots and all that stuff. Like I feel like if we had just put the ball in Derek White's hands when we were up game 1 and game 2 against the Knicks, we win those games.
He could be the closer. He could be the Mariano Rivera of the Celtics. Like, come on now.
Yeah, but like when like you're bringing him in the 9th inning up 6, not when it's like a 1-run game, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about because I saw I forget where the Jalen quotes were coming from where he was like, yeah, I still can't believe we lost that series. I saw a bunch of Knicks people get really pissed off. Like, I'll tell you how you lost: defense, hard hustle, like all this other shit. And like, like I get what Jalen was saying because they had 2 20-point leads at home and they blew it. Like, it's crazy to think about, like, even before you get to the Tatum injury. And that's been, weirdly enough, a pretty consistent part of the Mazzulla era DNA is being able to get out to 20-point leads, but consistently losing 20-point leads, but typically still winning the game somehow. Like it's a really weird kink. I don't know what the right word, maybe not kink. I don't know where I'm trying to go for there, but it's been a really weird part of the Mazzulla Celtics experience that this year, to your point, Khari, of like, what is Mazzulla going to be like as a coach? Because like, it's going to be a lot harder to get out to those 20-point leads, just given the talent deficit from last year to this year. And so what is that going to look like? And what does Derek White, to your point, Greg, now being, more responsibility on Derek White, who's, let's just call him a more responsible ball handler, I guess, a more responsible player with the lead. How does that change this team's, DNA? I think that's going to be kind of fascinating when we look at the season.
We're going to find out if Joe has some Vrabel in him, man. If he can take a scrappy squad and get more out of them than is expected. That's what we're going to find out about Joe, because Joe has always had the squad. He's always driven the Maserati. Now he's back to not a Honda Accord, but he's in a give me a okay, like like luxury, but not quite luxury car.
A Ford,
like an
Bronco.
Audi, maybe.
He's in an Audi Q5 now. Like, it's not a Maserati anymore. There's no Tatum. Like, he's in an Audi Q5. So we'll see how he drives it.
Well, that's interesting, Khari, because clearly you want to talk about the Patriots now, bringing up Vrabel, and I'm okay going there, Will, if you're okay going there, because I want to talk about the Patriots too.
I do. I want to say this. Does anyone want? No one has to. Anyone want to give a prediction for the Celtics season before we wrap up this preview?
Okay, so let's just do the Derek White is an all-star thing, right? So 2 years ago, we're at the Celtics Spurs game in San Antonio, and that's when the White's an all-star thing starts happening from the crowd, and that's when it really starts picking up steam. And when the crowd has to chant you're an all-star, you're probably not an all-star, right? I don't think you're going to hear much of that this year. I think his play is going to speak for itself. I think Derek White becomes an all-star, but it's not like a gimmicky all-star campaign. It's an undeniable all-star campaign.
I like it. Khari, any it doesn't have to be a record prediction. Any prediction you want to make for this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Celtics are still a playoff team. I think I see 45 to 48 wins in their future. That's my range.
I like that, man.
I'm more optimistic than most. I think it's a guards league. I think the Celtics guards are really good. I think that most of the teams in the East aren't actually that good, and that the East is actually sneakily wide open. Like, there's no Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. You'll have to deal with the Knicks, but that's only a couple times a year. I think they could still compete with Philly even without Tatum. Like, I don't know. I'm weirdly optimistic that they're going to be not just above 500, but pretty solidly above 500 even without Tatum.
I was thinking about the Philly thing because obviously we're playing the Sixers opening night. And I think, when we get to the playoffs, and I'm with you, I think the Celtics are going to be a little bit closer to 500, like 40.
Over-under is 41.5, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. Like, and it depends, we'll see if Tatum comes back and when and all that. That's going to be obviously the other lingering storyline. But I was thinking in regards to Philly, like you mentioned, Khari, like best case and worst case is, let's say, everybody's hyped. Embiid played 15 minutes last night, yada, 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 whatever. We'll see if he can actually play, 50 games, 60 games and, be healthy in the postseason. But, if the Celtics were to match up with the Sixers, let's say it's like a 7-2, 6-3 thing, and somehow Embiid, is healthy, Maxey does his thing, whatever else has to go right for the Sixers. It's a best case and worst case scenario where best case, I would love to just squash all of the Philly hope in one. Like, we have the worst front court in the NBA. Tatum's coming back with like playing 12 games and we still beat that ass. That's like the best case scenario. The worst case is they catch us at our weakest moment and Embiid squeaks out one series win against a much lesser Celtics team. And now he's like, yeah, see, Celtics don't always win. And so it's really interesting to think about. And I think the Celtics are heading towards a 6-7 seed. I don't know how it's going to, all play out, but it likely they're going to end up in a first round matchup, either with, if the Sixers stay healthy, Embiid, or that front line of the Cavs and Knicks. And that's where I think ultimately it's just going to fall apart unless Brad Stevens has some midseason magic and can flip Simons for somehow a lesser contract that has, for a front court guy that makes a difference. I don't know. I trust in Brad. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited for the season to start. So we'll keep track of our predictions here as we go forward. But you were at Gillette yesterday, right, Khari? Let's talk about the Patriots.
Let's talk pass. I was actually not at Gillette yesterday.
Okay.
But yeah, Pats are awesome. What else do we need to say? Drake May is balling. Like, Pats are
I was gonna
4-2.
say Drake May is that dude, right? Like he's like, I feel like we all feel like he's certified that dude, correct?
Yeah, and it's crazy how quickly the perception changed. Because remember last year, they were like, should we even play this kid behind this offensive line that's terrible? We might ruin him. It's like, no, now it's pretty solidly like, yo, you got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Where do you rank him? Top 10? Top 7?
I mean, he's playing like top 5 right now. The question is like, can he keep it up? Like, that's the thing. That's like, how consistent can he be? Was that Bills game just an aberration? But let me tell you, what he did against the Saints last week was impressive. I mean, first of all, he had that TD to Pop that was completely taken off the board. Like, he lost like 100 yards. He lost 100 yards alone on those 2 Stephon Diggs OPI penalties, which were
horrible calls.
Horrible calls. Like, late, like nowhere near the play, like terrible calls. And that was 100 yards right there. And a touchdown. So it's like, yeah, no, he's been balling like crazy. And he's been elevating them because the Celtics, I mean, the Patriots still don't have the most talented roster, but all of a sudden they're in the mix. For a playoff spot, and not just a playoff spot, like we could be, depending on how well Vrabel can have them take advantage.
Get spicy, do it, Khari. Make a spicy statement right now. I feel it.
Could we be talking about a home playoff game at Gillette? Could we be talking about it?
I mean, listen. So here's the thing. So I was thinking about this, and this is where it gets probably a little bit, off the rails. Like, looking across the NFL, and we'll just stay in the AFC for a second here.
Sure.
There's not really like a lot of super scary teams. Like the Bills, we just beat the Bills in Buffalo. That defense not great. Like Josh Allen in the playoffs, that sounds scary as hell. I get it. I even as the biggest, Drake May believer, I'm probably still would pick the Bills to beat the Pats in the playoffs. The Chiefs are 3-3. You look at everybody else in the AFC. Why, the Pats certainly are not a team that I look at as a Super Bowl team right now. To your point, the talent's not there quite yet. Although trade deadline, Khari, if you have any inside sources, let us know of any rumors that maybe this is where they try to make a move. But as they're growing right now, it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility this team could make a run with the right matchups, given if we feel that way about Drake May and he continues to progress. It's unlikely, but it's becoming, and we're 6 games in, it's becoming less, insane. Like it's getting a little bit more realistic as a slight possibility. Am I crazy?
No, I mean, they've been competitive in every single game, and I think they have probably the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life.
It's a real easy schedule.
Like schedule is so cupcakes off. Like if you don't beat the Titans this week, you have a major problem. They suck. Like
the Bucks. I think it was the Bucks and the Bills, and then also the Ravens.
It's
have been
Titans. It's Titans this week. Then they got the Browns at home next week. And then
I just meant rest of the schedule. Those are like the only 2 good teams that they have left on their schedule, I think. Yeah, it's like those
because the
games.
Jets are like 0-6. They got the Dolphins again. Like, yeah, they'll play Buffalo. They'll play the Bucks. They should flex that Bucks game to like something. They should get Brady on that broadcast because that's going to be probably their best game left. But yeah, I mean, they play the Giants. Like, I don't know. The Giants are scrappy, but like, I'm not scared of Cam Scatterbo. Like, come on now. I mean, the sneaky one is the Ravens, right? The Ravens aren't playing well right now, but they do play the Ravens in Baltimore later in the year. And I think the Ravens will find a way to snap out of that funk, but we're not counting the Ravens against the scrub teams because the Patriots are legitimately going to play a bunch of scrub teams.
Yeah. What's cool about the Patriots in general is that it's like now becoming, I need to find a way to watch this game type football, where in the past, if like you had to miss a game, you missed a game. Obviously, we're speaking from a fan perspective, not someone who's covering the team. And now it's just like, I need to figure out a way to get NFL Network or whatever it is. Like I have to go to Stream East or Meth Streams or whatever the illegal websites are. You can get football. And I need to do it. Like last week, I missed the Patriots against Saints. The week before, they were on national TV for the first time in over a year. And I was so excited to just be able to throw the TV on and there are my Patriots playing. I don't have to go out of my way to watch football, but now I got to go out of my way to watch the Patriots because they're back, baby. And Drake May is exciting. I'm texting my dad about Drake May. I'm texting my dad about Roman Anthony. Like Boston sports is young and it's fun right now. And Drake May is the man. I'd say he's like right behind like the Dak Prescotts of the world. Like that's kind of where I have him ranked. Because he's only been doing it 6 games, right? He played a little bit last year, but we've very quickly anointed him as like a top 5 quarterback in the league, and like we got to pump the brakes a little bit.
A little bit, but those throws, man, like you can tell, like when Mac Jones got hype, it was like, yeah, cool, man. He hasn't made one single throw that's made me excited. He just, didn't turn the ball over his rookie season. Drake May is making throws that are like, holy shit, like that's a real throw. That's a dude throw right there.
And he's doing it with his legs too, and he's doing it with a roster that's not a bunch of world beaters. That's why I think he deserves to be in the MVP conversation. Like. They've had Kayshon Boutte for a couple years now. Like, you know what I mean? They know what Pop Douglas looks like. Like, you got Diggs. Diggs is a difference maker, but he's also 31 and coming off an ACL. They got Mac Hollins. But, like, this is not an all-pro stable of receivers that he has or an all-world-beating offensive line or even running backs that are even effective. Like, they're running.
Hold on to that ball, Petey. Hold on to that ball, Ramondre.
Drake is carrying them right now. Like, you got to give him his props, and you got to give Josh McDaniels his props because the offense looks so much better. I don't feel passing attack. It's back, baby.
Yeah, so I saw some crazy stat real quick. Well, I saw some stat, and I don't know if this is an actual stat, but it just came across my feed where it's like Drake May's completion percentage of passes 20 yards down the field is like 70%, and the league average is in like the 40s.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, that's nuts.
I mean, in general, he's completing like close to 70% of his passes, period. Like he's just balling, and he's doing it with accuracy, and he's doing it with good decisions. Like the thing about Drake is like going in, you're like, oh, is this guy going to be a gunslinger? Is he going to be Brett Favre, or he's just throwing all these crazy interceptions? Like, like Drake's actually been wildly efficient. Like I can't even remember the last time he's turned the ball over. Like,
I mean, if you think about this season right now, they're 2 plays away from being 5-1. Right, like that Pittsburgh game where you turn the ball over 2 times, literally at the goal.
Ramondre fumbles at the goal line, yeah,
right, and that was like one of probably Drake's last picks was that tip pass in the end zone, and it's like you take those 2 plays, and it's the whatever the percentages are of turning the ball over right there are got to be so low, and like you flip those, they're 5-1, they're 5-1, and they're with
and they should have beat the Raiders.
Yeah, that's the one game I missed.
Yeah, Drake threw a pick that killed them in that one though.
Yeah. So that's like the one blemish, right? So the Raiders game, it's like, all right, fine. That was the blemish. The Steelers game, they dominated minus the 5 turnovers and specifically those 2 ones at the goal line. And so that's what's like, like the Steve's 2 plays away from being 5-1. And so, Khari, either give me your thoughts or if you have heard anything like for the Pats to make up some of the talent deficit. Do you think they make any moves? Is there anything realistic out there that maybe either you've heard or that you just would like to see them do?
I mean, I would like to see them go get another receiver for Drake, continue to bolster that because the O-line's handling it well enough, and I don't know how many blockbuster trades you see for O-linemen. I think they're fine at running back. I think their pass rush has actually been really good, and they're really strong up front with Barmore and Milton Williams. Milton Williams has been an absolute beast. At corner, they've been solid with Gonzalez and Davis. The middle of their defense has been a little soft, a little slow with the linebacking crew. So, I think you go either receiver or middle linebacker if you're trying to make a deal. The question is like, how much draft capital are you trying to give up? And if you can get a deal for someone who's disgruntled, because that's, if you can get one of these disgruntled diva wide receivers, that's like, I want out of place X, and you can give up like
any 4th round picks out there for Randy Moss again? Can we get a part 2 of that?
Yes, that's what you want. And then it's like, you get another big time receiver pairing with Diggs. Now all of a sudden you've got a lot of speed, you got a lot of explosiveness, and you got a quarterback who can hit all those guys.
I gotta say, whoever we bring in has to have a name that fits this crop of receivers that we have, because we got some of the best named receivers in the league. Booty, Pop Douglas, Stephon Diggs, like those are some sick ass receiver names, man.
Heck yeah.
I like it. I like the excitement that's been brought on this podcast. So, Khari, we appreciate you for joining us. And there's really only one way that we can send you out.
Damn, Khari.
It's the media leading scorer, the chief, Khari Thompson of Boston.com. Khari, anything you got coming up that you want to promote? Where can people find you? What you got in the works here for the next couple weeks?
Oh man, just splitting my time between the Pats and Celts. So just follow all my Patriots and Celtics coverage at Boston.com. Yeah, it'll be interested in following them in Nashville, the Vrabel return game this weekend. And then I'll see y'all on opening night, and hopefully I'll write something cool off of it.
Hell yeah. Appreciate that. Greg, any final thoughts here before we sign off on this edition of Green with Envy?
Bro, I'm telling you, I will buy that plane ticket. I will be there for the next time you play the coaches. You holla at your boy. I'm there. Thank you for joining us again, Khari. You're the fucking man.
Let's go.
Let's go. Celtics opening night, Wednesday. Celtics Sixers will be live with a post-game podcast afterwards. So as always, make sure you guys are following us on all of our social medias. We'll be live on YouTube and Twitter. Enjoy the start of your week, and we will see you on Wednesday night. Let's go green. Peace, everybody.